you back now?
Yeah.
Okay, we were still listening to you. Do you mind answering the question again? The question was, what is your definition of pro-choice? Okay.
Okay. I feel like it is a person who's more accepting of abortions than a person who might not be as accepting as that person, because I feel like pro-choice and pro-life are a bit too binary for this matter, you know. At least I perceive it to be that way, because I don't feel like they justly cover the complexity of the matter and the formation of an opinion on it. And also, you know, I feel like it just polarizes people a bit too much to call them pro-life and pro-choice, because many might share the same sentiments, such as not imposing their opinion on other people, and, you know, agreeances might change depending on circumstance. So, yeah.
Okay, I get you. Okay. Sam, you haven't answered yet, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Sam, can you give me your definition of pro-choice?
So my definition of pro-choice is like, it's similar to Sisa's, that pro-choice is the advocating for women's legal right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. And I think it goes further into like just a woman's right to be able to choose what she does with her body and choose whichever procedures she decides, have the option to choose procedures to go through with her body and not have them legally excluded or legally like enforced onto her. That's my definition of pro-choice.
Perfect, love it. Ria, have you answered yet?
Yep.
So everybody, okay.
Answered.
Okay, cool. So everybody has answered the question, right? Sorry, the meeting that cut off just really threw me out. Anyways, the next question. Okay. The next question is, do you think that abortion can be considered murder? Jose, can you answer that one for me, please? Can abortion be considered murder?
Not a problem. So basically, my definition of murder, right, is the termination of human life. That is, it's intentional, obviously. So it's the intentional termination of a human life, which is basically my definition of murder. Now, can an abortion be considered murder? You would obviously then have to assume that the fetus is a living being, right? So I think from a scientific perspective, we can all agree that once the fetus has a heartbeat, it becomes a living being, right? So and I think that happens around 6 to 8 weeks of gestation. So I think from that point onward, I think that I would consider an abortion to be murder, seeing that it is a human life that cannot speak for itself, and it's the intentional termination of that human life. If it's still before like 6 weeks or 5 weeks, while it still is a ball of cells, my opinion would be different. But I think once the fetus has a heartbeat, yeah, I consider abortion murder.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you for your answer, Jose. That was very, very educational, actually. Sisa, can you answer for me, please? Do you think that abortion can be considered murder?
No, I don't think so. I do not agree with Jose on that one. Because I feel that at the end of the day, it's a woman's body, and she should have the last say in what happens in her body. So if she feels that she would like to have a procedure and she would like to terminate the baby, then she should, because it is her body. And in South Africa, it is her legal right. Also, with the with reference to the part where you said it is a living being, most miscarriages happen around the same time. So would you say a miscarriage is murder then, Jose?
Jose,
No,
do you want to
but
answer that?
before, okay. Yeah, so first of all, in terms of the argument that a woman should be allowed to do what she wants to with her body, I agree with that statement. However, I think that when there's another living being involved, it no longer just becomes the woman's body. There's also another life that needs to be considered that actually can't speak for itself.
But off of what
in
cost?
terms, excuse me.
You say that the living body should be considered the living being, that is the baby, right? But the baby is living inside of the
Yes.
woman, is it not?
Yes, that's correct. It's still a living being.
Okay.
Because especially if it's past 6 weeks of gestation and it's got a heartbeat, I'd consider that a living being.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, my answer is no, Meera.
Cease. Okay, your answer is no. Okay, cool. Thank you for your answer. Vuyo, are you comfortable answering this question or?
Yeah, I can answer.
Okay, cool. Can we have your answer, please, on this one?
I would roughly say that human life does begin at conception because the embryo is considered to be alive. And what Cesar said over there with the miscarriage, that is not a voluntary act of termination of life. It is something that just so happens to happen in the woman's body involuntary. Yes, you have your hand raised.
Yes, actually, a miscarriage is defined as, let me go get that definition for you. It is a spontaneous abortion. It is when the body rids itself of the fetus, much like a procedure abortion. Right? So it is intentional. The body intends to kill the baby. But carry on.
Yeah.
Okay, but the definition of murder is the voluntary or the deliberate killing of one person by another. And I don't know, there's this double murder thing that happens when a person hurts, let's say I hurt a woman, okay, and that criminal act sort of leads to her losing the baby. Is that considered murder or not?
Are you asking me? You asked me. Sorry, what was the question? Please say it again.
If I perform a violent act upon you, which is criminal, and the baby dies because of that, is that not considered murder?
Are you considered a murderer?
Yeah.
According to your definition of what murder is, yes.
But according to the law as well, because I can be prosecuted for that. So.
For killing the baby.
Yeah. Or if the woman so happens to pass away from that, then it's a double murder. Not just
pass away from what?
Yeah.
From the violence that I, enact upon her.
Okay, but so are you? Okay. Okay, I hear you.
My answer is yes.
Okay.
Okay, so your answer is yes for you. Okay. Jose, do you have something to say? Yeah, speak to that.
Okay, Meera, I'd say, right,
yeah,
an objective definition for murder would be the intentional termination of life. When it comes to a miscarriage, it's not intentional. It's actually it's a natural biological cause, right? That causes the life of the fetus to terminate, right? It's the same as if a human being dies of natural causes or if a human being is stabbed to death. Stabbing a human being to death is the intentional termination of the life of that human being. However, if the human being dies of a heart attack or kidney failure, that's natural causes, right? In the same way, for pregnancy, if that pregnancy especially when the fetus has a heartbeat and that's now a living being. If the life of that fetus is intentionally withdrawn, right, and the natural processes of growth and development is not allowed to take place for that fetus, because of an intentional act, I would call that murder. But in the case that biologically the fetus can't survive because of natural causes, that's a completely different story. That's obviously that would be natural causes, obviously.
Okay, Jose.
If it makes sense.
No, that makes total
I
sense.
feel
Understand.
I feel like a vital part of this argument would be defining when exactly human life starts. I feel like it's not really, it's a gray area. It's not really black and white over there.
Yeah.
Because things in development, there's no phase, there's no set phases in this development. So
okay. Thank you guys for that. Sisa, is there anything you would like to add, or can I move on to Ria and Sam?
You can move on, man.
Okay. Ria, would you like to answer this question? Do you think that abortion can be considered murder?
I don't think it could be classified as murder, but I know that between 20 weeks and 24 weeks, the fetus is basically a ball of cells. It basically acts as a parasite to the mother's body as the host. So it doesn't have any pain receptors. It hasn't developed a brain. It hasn't developed a heart or anything yet. So between then, that will be a safe area to get an abortion. But obviously, if you're like 8 months into term and then you decide no, this baby, that's a little bit weird, don't you think? I think that it will be classified as murder, but between 20 and 24 weeks, I don't think so.
Yeah. Thank you, Ria, for that explanation. Sam, would you like to answer that one? Yes or no?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Everyone brought up very interesting points. And I think what Vuyo said about at what point during a pregnancy do you classify a fetus as having now human life? Like, this is now a human. Because murder is defined as the unlawful premeditated killing of one human being by another. So at what point do you determine a fetus is now a human and no longer just a ball of cells? So I think that's the gray area that makes whether saying abortion is murder is yes or no question. But honestly, most abortions take place between 8 and 12 weeks. Usually it's very rare that they take place by 20, 24 weeks.
Yeah.
Those are like more of those extreme cases where at this point, this pregnancy is putting perhaps the mother at risk or the child's at risk. So that's when usually at that time, an abortion is an option. So I don't think abortion can be considered murder.
Okay. Thank you, Samantha. Is there anything anyone else would like to add on, or do you want to move on to the next question?
I say we can move on to the next question.
Everyone good? Okay, cool. So our next question will be, who has the final say between the man and the woman when it comes to either terminating the pregnancy or keeping it? Ria, can you answer that one for me, please?
I really think it's ultimately deciding on the mother. The father can have an opinion. He can choose to either support the mother throughout the pregnancy and postpartum, but at the end of the day, it all falls within the mother because it really is her body. She has most of the power to say, okay, I don't want this anymore, so I'm going to head to the clinic or I'm going to take a pill or whatever. The father can't do all of that directly, so I think he can have an opinion, but it ultimately decides on the mother.
Thank you, Ria. Vuyo, can you answer for me, please?
Yeah, I feel like it boils down to an agreement between both parents, really, both the mother and the father, because they are both a part of, the mother's pregnancy. So if both decide to keep, they keep it. If one decides to and the other doesn't, regardless of the gender, then I feel like the one who wants to keep it should be able to, you know. And yeah, I mean, there are cases of, in the case of forceful sex or rape, the decision does lie with the one who is raped, whether that be male or female. So if the female is raped and she decides that, you know, she doesn't want to keep the baby, then she shouldn't. Versus if the male is the one who is raped here and he decides that he wants no part of this child, then that should be allowed as well. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, you said okay, I'm not engaging or like giving my opinion or anything. I'm just here to host. But you said do you say okay, regardless of the gender, if they decide, if one of them wants to keep it, then they should be able to. But what if so but what if the man wants to keep it and the woman is like totally against keeping this baby? Then what happens then? Because at the end of the day she's carrying it, but what happens then?
You have to consider that this is above them at this point in some sort of way. This is another human life to be considered. And if 50% of that child, which is the father, decides that he wants to have and raise that baby, I feel like it should be allowed to. You know, he can cover the medical expenses that are associated with the pregnancy. He can be there to support, but I feel like it should be allowed to.
Okay. Sisa and Ria, you had your hands up. I'm gonna get to you. Sisa, can you answer for me?
Okay, do you want me to answer the question or speak about why I raised my hand?
Both of them, please. Start with whichever one you are fine with.
Okay, I'll start with why I raised my hand. With what you said, Rio, are you saying that a woman? Okay, so two people have sex, right? It's a consensual sex, right? Without protection, right? And then the case happens that the girl falls pregnant. Are you saying that if she feels that she doesn't want to have this baby and the man feels he wants to keep this baby, are you saying that she's obliged to have the baby just because he wants to have it? You can answer me, by the way.
Wait, can you?
Am I? Is he stuck or is it me?
Is it what's his name?
I think it's
Vuyo. It sounds like it's stuck off on your side. Yeah, Vuyo's stuck.
Okay, so I'll just answer the question.
Okay,
it's definitely
Sisa,
the woman.
Yeah, answer the question in the meantime. Yeah.
I think the final say goes to the woman, without a doubt. Yeah. I think you should go to the
woman, yeah.
To the woman. She should be able to decide that, because at the end of the day, she's going to be the one breastfeeding. Is she going to be able to maintain that? Is she going to be able to feed the baby? Is she going to be able to, like stay up if the baby gets sick? Is she going to be able to, get medication? Is she financially ready to have a baby? And if she is, and she decides that she wants to have it, then it is up to her. The final say goes to the woman. The man can advise, maybe say, no, we're not ready for a baby. I don't think so. He's not ready or anything, but the final say goes to the woman.
Okay. Ria, you have your hand up.
I was actually gonna ask you, him. I was actually going to tell him that I'm not really sure what he meant by if the woman, like how Sisa said, is the woman obliged to carry on the pregnancy against her will just because the man wants to have a baby? So I was thinking that it's not really fair on her because, like Sisa mentioned, she's the one that has to physically give birth. She's the one that has to deal with the complications of postpartum. There's a lot of things that happen, like vaginal tearing, there's postpartum depression. Is she financially capable? Is her body even going to handle all of that? Is she the one that she's the one that's going to stay up at night and breastfeed and feed and change and do all these things for the baby? Meanwhile, the man literally can just stand up and walk away. So I feel like if the woman can just say, I don't want to go through this because I'm not ready, then it is her choice to say, hey, I can go and I can go to the clinic and I can move on with my life. And if you're not happy about it, go on with your life as well, you know?
Okay, fair enough, Ria. Thank you for your answer. Jose, you've got your hand up, and I want you to also answer the question,
Meera.
please.
Not a problem. So I'm first going to answer, and my answer is that the man definitely should have an equal say in the matter. And my reason, therefore, is okay. I'm actually not talking about cases like rape and so on. This is basically in the case of consensual sex, right? It takes both the man and the woman to conceive, okay? And it also takes both the man and the woman to share the responsibility of raising the child, right? So if the responsibility is shared equally, so should the privilege be shared equally, right? And by privilege, I mean deciding whether or not to keep the child. So I think in the case that the mother and the father disagree about it, there should be some sort of a third party, as someone said in the chat. There should be some sort of a legal third party that decides on the legality of that based on the reasoning, right? For the mother wanting to terminate the baby. If the mother just willy-nilly goes around having sex consensually without protection, you know, I don't think it's fair in terms of the life of that baby to then just terminate it because she's not ready, right? I think also in our generation where sex has become so casual, we need to realize that the primary reason for sex is procreation, right? Biologically, the primary reason for sex is procreation. The secondary reason for sex is pleasure, and therefore, if someone will if someone consensually partakes in sex, they should then be open to the possibility of being accountable for the child that comes as a result of the act, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Thank you for your answer, Jose. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, that's all.
Chosen. Okay, thank you for answering. Sam, can you answer it, please?
Yeah. I think the decision on terminating a pregnancy does fall on both parents of the fetus, but I feel like the amount of say differs to each parent, because yes, the father does have a stake in the unborn child's life. However, other things need to be taken into consideration, like obviously financial status. If the woman can withstand the pregnancy term, like is she physically able to bear this child? Like what are the aftermath, like the after effects of if she decides to go through with the pregnancy? And in the case where you say perhaps the mother doesn't want to have the child, but the father does, I think it should be an option for, if the mother is willing and she's capable, for her to go through with the pregnancy, but then the father needs to be willing and capable to take full responsibility for the child. In the same case where if perhaps a woman falls pregnant and the father just says, I don't want this child, I want to have no part in this child's life, I don't want to be financially available, emotionally available in any way. If the mother decides to have the child, she is taking on the responsibility, full responsibility of that child. I think in that case, the roles should be able to swap, and the father should be able to say, okay, as soon as you give birth, I take full responsibility, and that's that. Because I've decided that I want to have this child. And you've made it very clear that, yes, you can go forth with this pregnancy and you don't mind bearing this child. But I'm saying I don't want to have I'm not able to,
Anyone.
or I don't want to have any, I can't take care of this child. I think that should be the choice.
Okay, thank you so much, Sam. Well said. I think Vuyo joined again. Vuyo, are you here?
Yes, I am. Sorry about that.
Hi, Vuyo. Okay, Sisa had a question for you. I don't know if you remember it still, Sisa. What you wanted to ask Vuyo? The
it was
ladies
just
actually had a few
question.
questions.
Yeah, Ria and I basically have the same question about, do you think that a woman should then be obligated to carry the baby if the
Oh, that's a question.
father decides that he wants to have the baby? That was my question, my Ria's question.
Oh, must I answer or Ria?
Yes, you will.
Yeah, this is you, Vuyo.
Well, I feel like I have to take this answer and be able to flip it, and pose it to the mother as well. If the father decided that he did not want this child at all, and then the mother decides that she wants this child, then she is allowed to keep the baby, right? So I feel like it would be unfair to the father to, keep him as a secondary parent in this matter. I understand that, the roles in pregnancy are very different, and there are effects on the women that the father won't have during the pregnancy. But I feel like if one of them decides that they really want this baby, then they should be allowed to just as much as the other. Because at the end of the day, we are talking for a person who can't speak for themselves as parents, as mother and father. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Ria,
Thank
do you
you,
have anything
Vuyo.
to say? Okay. I hear you, Vuyo, in that sense, but I feel okay, you know what? I'll answer. I'll say what I need to say in the next question. The next question says what I need to say.
Okay.
Jose has his hand
Okay.
up.
Yeah, Jose. Oh, I can't hear Jose. Connection's really bad.
Sorry. If you want to move on to the next question, we can do that. That's okay.
Do you have anything to say?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, if it's a healthy pregnancy, right, and the mother's life is not compromised in the pregnancy, I don't know if it's just me, but it just feels like there's something wrong from a moral perspective in just being able to decide whether to let this human being grow and develop in a natural way or completely terminate its life. So yeah, that's basically all I was gonna say. But we can move on to the next question. You guys are ready.
Okay. Okay, just a quick note to everybody watching. It says that the meeting is going to end in 10 minutes, but if it does end, then just rejoin it using the same link, then it'll work. So yeah, in case it does cut out, then you guys are prepared for that. Okay, the next question. Okay. The next question is, okay. If the woman decides to now proceed with the pregnancy, she's not going to terminate it, but the man tells her, as soon as he finds out she's pregnant, like, I want no part of this from the get-go, go and abort it. I don't want any part of this. Is he still required to pay maintenance and play an active role in the child's life if she does go through with it, even though he told her from the beginning, I don't want a child? I'm going to get everybody to answer that. Vuyo, can you start for me, please? And Jose, you've got your hand up. I'll go to you next.
It's fine. You can start with Jose. Yeah.
Jose, do you want to start?
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm actually eager on this one.
Okay.
This is one I'm passionate about, actually.
Yeah.
Look, if
Okay.
the man takes the conscious decision to have sex with someone, right, he should be fully responsible and accountable for his actions by playing his full role in not only maintaining the child financially or economically, but also he needs to be present and involved in the raising of that child. I feel like that's something that we have in society that's actually fundamentally wrong, and it's the cause of such a lot of societal issues that we can't even see. It's absent fathers, you know. So I think that there should actually be some sort of a legal enforcement that essentially ensures that fathers, biological fathers, take responsibility and accountability for their children.
Okay, thank you for that, Jose. We are going to get back to you. I just want one of the ladies to answer. Sam, I see you've got your hand up.
Yes, I do. So, well, from what I'm aware, it is possible. There is like a legal point where a woman can go to the courts and demand child support and child maintenance from the child's father, regardless of whether he initially stated he didn't want to have the child or not. I think that's something that's already in place. But I think it's too simple to say that a mother or a father has to play a role in a child's life, because more than just paying maintenance. Like, I understand paying maintenance, yes. I feel like it's something that should be done. This is a child, it needs to be taken care of, regardless of whether you yourself can take care of it, like, emotionally. But from the emotional standpoint, I'm like, my opinion is not everyone can be a parent. Not everyone can be a good parent. And if you are fully aware that if you become an active part of this child's life, you will not be a good parent. You will not give this child like a good upbringing. I feel like you should be able to say, okay, I'm not going to be an active part of this child's life, like present physically, emotionally. But if like something along the line of maintenance is required, I'm willing to, because it can be legally enforced. So it's yes or no question. Like, legally he has to, like, the mother can take the action to legally make him pay maintenance. But I think the active role in the child's life is no parent should be forced into that, because that could hurt the child in the long run.
Okay, get you. Thank you, Samantha, for that. Sisa, your hand is up.
Yeah, just to add on to what Sam was saying there, I agree with her that yes, you are obliged by law. There is literally a maintenance act. We covered it on our page.
Yeah.
You are obliged to pay towards the child's maintenance. However, you are not obliged to stay in the child's life. And I feel and agree with Sam that rather you be an absent father or mother, let's say, paying maintenance, than be a present father or mother that doesn't want to be there. Because I feel like when you're not putting in the effort to be a parent, it does so much more damage than you not being there at all. So I just wanted to add on to that. But yeah, my answer
Thank you, Sisa. Yeah.
Is yes, he is required to pay maintenance. That's my answer.
Okay, thank you, Sisa. Okay. Ria, can you answer that one for me, please?
Well, I don't think the father should be morally, okay, not morally, but he doesn't have to be forced to be in the child's life if he doesn't want to. Like how Sisa and Samantha said, I absolutely agree with what both of them said. But if the mother feels that she needs the father to pay maintenance for the child's life, then she is legally required. He is legally obliged to pay maintenance. That's only if that's upon the request of the mother, but he doesn't have to be physically there in the child's life, because that's really going to hurt the child in the long run.
Thank you, Ria, for that answer. Vuyo, would you like to add on? What is your answer to that?
Well, I feel like it's been covered, so no comments on it. Because, yeah.
So you agree with them?
Yeah, I do. Especially with
thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Is there anything anyone else would like to add? Jose, do you have anything else to say?
No, Meera, I think that covers it, and I do to a certain extent agree with what's being said. A parent shouldn't be allowed in the child's life if he or she is gonna do harm than good to the child. But I'm also saying that apart from maintenance, people need to realize that when they have sex and there's a child, there's a moral and an emotional role that both parents need to play for the proper development of the child. So that was basically the only point that I was trying to make. But I do agree with what everyone said.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay, so that's all covered. Next question is, okay, so in the event that the father was made aware that this woman is pregnant and she is keeping it, and he told her, I'm not interested, and he isn't present at all during the pregnancy, has not contributed a cent, has not been there for any moral support, anything, just totally went ghost, but decides once the baby has been born, he wants to come back. Should he be allowed to do that? Even though he didn't help at all during the pregnancy, should he be allowed once the baby is born and be allowed to be a father? Sisa, you can answer first. Your hands up.
No, I was gonna say that there's less than 1 minute, so how about we all just leave this and rejoin?
Okay. I will wait for it to cut us out before we start answering, and then we'll rejoin to answer that one. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, just so it doesn't cut anybody out. Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna leave.
Gather your answers along. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're just waiting for this thing to kick us out. No, right. Wow.
Should I just end it because I'm the host?
Okay. Yeah, you